Hello everybody, welcome to your ANOVA lecture. Now in ANOVA, it's pretty much the same logic as a t-test, but in this scenario, our nominal measure has more than two categories, or three or more categories to put it another way. Exciting stuff. So, what you need for an ANOVA is your nominal level measure with three or more categories, and an interval or ratio level measure. Those are your requirements, your assumption for this to work. Now, what are you going to need from SPSS? Okay, you're going to need descriptive statistics, because at the end of the day, what are we doing? We are comparing means, so it's probably pretty helpful to get it to spit out the means for each group that we're going to be comparing, right? From there, we'll want to see if any differences in these means are statistically significant, and to do that, we will calculate an F. That F has a certain degrees of freedom based on the number of groups and the number of people in the sample. And there's a p-value associated with it. P-value, again, less of 0.05. What it will tell you is that you have at least one group that's different from the others. That's what an ANOVA tells you, or an F tells you. The p-value less than 0.05, one group is different. Now, it's possible that all of the groups are different from each other, but how do we figure that out is by calculating Tukey. It's actually Tukey's HSD, I think is what they used to call it. I don't know if they still do. It stood for, I think, honestly significant difference or something like that. But what it does is it tells you which groups are different from which groups, so you can interpret the whole thing a little bit more fully. All right, so let's go ahead and do it. I'll open up SPSS. Here's my data. It should look familiar to you now if you've been watching these videos. And what we're going to do here is we're going to look at education differences between racial and ethnic groups. So, race is our racial and ethnic group measure. Now again, this is an old survey, started from the 70s. It still goes on today, but because it started in the 70s, here's our so wonderful race measure, white, black, and other. I know, but for our purposes, so we can use it for instruction, right? Who that other is, boy, that's a lot of folks, isn't it? But we're going to compare white, black, and other and see if the mean education difference for whites, for blacks, for others is different. So do we have a racial effect on educational attainment, right? So our education variables up here, and you look at the values, it just tells you which ones are missing, and that's just because it's recorded as years of education, all the way from 0, yes, I think there is somebody in there that has 0, all the way up to 20. All right. So how does one, we have our variables, so how does one run an ANOVA? Well, you go up to Analyze, where we start all of these fun things. And again, just like the t-test, you're going to look for comparing means. That's what you're up to. Now, you have lots of options here. There's only one ANOVA, and it's a one-way ANOVA. Now, there is such a thing as a two-way ANOVA, but we're not going to go over that now because I like to think of myself as a decent person. So, one-way ANOVA it is. Again, I'm going to right-click this so I get my display my variable names. I like that better than the labels. But again, your mileage may vary. If I get it right, what am I doing here? Display variable names. There we go. Okay. So you have these two boxes to fill in. Factor, let's do that one. A factor, that's going to be your nominal level measure. This is the variable that identifies the groups. So we have race, heading on over there. And now we have a dependent variable list. And that dependent variable, somebody's phone's going off here, is education. All right. So now that we have this, I'll turn that off. Sorry, guys. We're all dealing with a crisis. Now we have these. We have a couple buttons we still need to push. We have our post hoc, and we want Tukey. Now, there's a couple of Tukeys here, right? Just the one that just says Tukey. Don't worry about Tukey's AB. And don't worry about all this other stuff. It all has applications. It all means something, but, well, not to you. So we're going to leave it blank. Options. Here's where we get our descriptive statistics. Hit continue. And at this point, you're ready to go. You hit OK. Let's maximize the screen here. Okay, so let's start with. It starts with your descriptive statistics. You have white, black, other, how many people are in each group, what their average levels of education were for each group. We see here, we got about a 1 point something difference, or a little less than 1 point for between white and black, a little bit more than that for between white and other. But the question remains, is this a statistically significant difference? Well, we don't know by looking at it, right? So we have to go down here to our ANOVA table. Now here's where you find the rest of your stuff you need. The first thing you look at is sig, that's the p-value. And as you can see, it is less than 0.05. So what that means is, ta-da, one of those groups is in fact different from the others. Now, by eyeballing it, we can tell it's this group probably, but it isn't always so clear, so let's go through the steps. All right, so there's your F, there's your P, here are your degrees of freedom. How it's reported, I can actually show you, is, oops, that's not the one I wanted this one. Go over here. When you report the F, you can put it in brackets, oops, F, and then parentheses. It'd be 2, comma, and what was our number here? Let's see, 1493. And give it the actual value, which is, in this case, 15.94. And P less than, well, whatever you declared your cutoff to be, so it'd probably be 0.05, because that's what you're probably doing. And then voila, that test is reported. Then you report the means above it, and there you go. Now there's still one thing that's left to do, excuse me. We still need to acknowledge Tukey. This is just, again, to identify which group it is that's different from the others. So we go here and scroll all the way down to our Tukey table, our post hoc tests. All right, so we see here race of respondent white, black, white, other. So these are our comparisons. So white to black, is it significantly different? Yes. White to other, is it significantly different? Yes again. Then we go down to black. Black compared to white, we've already established, significantly different. Black compared to other, however, 0.650, that's larger than 0.05, correct? So that means there's no difference. So what we're saying here, and again, the other one is all kind of redundant information, but what we're finding here is the white group is the one that's different from the others. All right, there you go. There is your ANOVA lecture. Remember, once more, you're looking to compare means. You look here to determine if there is a difference, and then you look down to Tukey to determine exactly which difference that is. And when you report it, you can pretty much report the mean table there, the mean standard deviations, and just put a little line underneath of it. It'll tell you, well, how to report these results. All right. Happy statisticking.